So recently, we got the first trickling of news from this year's D23, which for those that don't know, is pretty much a version of Comic-Con that exclusively services Disney and Disney franchises and affiliate studios. We're talking stuff like Walt Disney Animated Studios, Pixar, any of the stuff they acquired from Fox, Disney live action news, all that sort of thing. Now, we did have a couple of trailers for a few things, notably Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or do they drop that branding? Is it just called Snow White? Okay, I googled and apparently it's titled Disney's Snow White. Okay. And we got the Mufasa Lion King prequel's next trailer, which showed off a bunch more of the visuals and some actual story this time. And we got another trailer for Moana 2, which is coming out later this year, so there's lots to talk about. But they could probably be their own video. But what we did get on that first day, I think it was the first look at a couple of long-awaited films, some news on delays, and some straight-up announcements too, so it was honestly a very exciting day. And if there's one thing that's very clear, it's that they've looked at their bottom line and they've seen that sequels are what's making them the most money at present, so they've gone full steam ahead on that score. There are some standalone fresh things and original films and whatnot to discuss, but a lot of sequel stuff too. And honestly, fair enough. When you look at their box office results over the past couple of years, it's pretty damn clear why studios would want to keep going back to the well again and again. After all, they are a business. And the aim of a business is to make money. So if people are buying tickets to sequels more than original content, may as well cash in on that. And like I said, they really are cashing in because we got a lot of news and clips and whatnot. And so I guess we'll go studio to studio and talk about some of the big announcements, shall we? Okay, so at the end of the Pixar presentation, we got the news that Brad Bird's back and he's working on Incredibles 3, which, that's pretty big news. I honestly didn't know if we'd ever actually get another one of these movies, at least not for a very long time. After all, it took forever for the second film to come out after years and years of begging from the fans, so to know this is coming is really cool. Obviously, judging by the success and the popularity of the first two movies, we're dealing with probably another $1 billion plus gross, and I've even seen some speculation online that it could challenge for the all-time record, which I guess it could, but it feels like massively early days to be making such huge predictions if we're being honest. Also, I've seen a lot of revisionist history about the second film lately, talking about how it's widely considered mid. It's not. It was critically acclaimed, it was beloved by audiences at the time, and was a box office smash. But sure, go off. But I think a lot of this revisionist history is simply being perpetrated by people who are trying to find any justification for them to make some big changes for number 3 and have a time skip. Literally every comment I come across on social media went something along the lines of this: they should listen to the criticism, age up the characters, etc, etc. All different variations of that sort of thing, and I'll be honest, whilst it is a bit strange to me that people are pretending like Incredibles 2 was a failure, I actually would like them to age up the different characters too. Show the passage of time and change up that family dynamic a bit. Push the kids into bigger roles, rather than just staying at home and breaking the rules to come and save the day when they realize mum and dad are in trouble. Maybe have Violet going off to college, Dash in high school, can't quite remember their age difference. Have Jack actually be given a character beyond Demon Baby with lots of powers. I just really hope we're not dealing with the Simpsons syndrome where the characters are stuck perpetually at the same age. I feel like that would be a massive bummer. As for a release date, I've seen a lot of discussion about 2027. I guess that remains to be seen. After all, I think they're only in the pre-production stage right now. It'd be pretty sad to see a rushed product. Although that being said, 3 years would probably be a decent time frame. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really sure how long animated films actually take to make from start to finish now that I think about it. Then we came to Toy Story 5, which was announced for 2026 with the theme of toys versus tech. So pretty much it seems the toys are going to have to deal with the fact that at far earlier ages than ever before, new crops of kids are starting to play with their technology. And so the toys are all going to band together, I guess, to do something about it. We really only have concept art at this stage of the game, and of course the synopsis, but the concept art shows the main toys, as in the crew that stayed with Bonnie, plus Woody's back with them. And they're staring at what I presume is Bonnie underneath a blanket on her iPad or something similar. So I guess Woody's back with the toys. And I gotta say, they really love doing those heart-wrenching endings, like at the end of 3 and the end of 4, only to immediately walk back on them, don't they? This will be twice in a row that they've done this, so they better not try to pull that shit again. It would be the height of ridiculousness. Although that being said, I think it's a pretty interesting idea that has a pretty obvious entry point to reunite the toys. Bonnie drifts away from her toys, and Woody and Bo notice that kids are more likely to play on their devices than they are with random lone toys in the middle of the park. And so perhaps they'll make their way to Bonnie's house to try to find a solution, leading to the overall reunion. I do have to wonder, how much time do you think's passed as well? Is it going to be a longer term time skip? A couple of years? Just months maybe? Probably only 1 or 2 years if we're being really serious here. Bonnie doesn't really look all that much older in terms of her size in the concept art. But yeah, it's rather intriguing. I've soured a lot on Toy Story over the last couple of years. I felt like 4 was not needed, and I didn't really like it at all. but there really is no arguing with billion-dollar grosses, so I'm not surprised to see it back. Let's just hope it's good, because otherwise, that'd be a shame. I do wonder what the actual plot's going to be, though. Like, are they going to sabotage Bonnie's tech, some sort of heist, invade Apple Store? I don't know, just spitballing. Also, Andrew Stanton, who directed some of Pixar's best ever films, WALL-E and Finding Nemo, is on board to direct this, so I'm actually rather optimistic. But yeah, Pixar just had heaps and heaps of news, and we're not quite done yet. The next thing of note is Dream Productions, a Disney Plus original series, a midquel that bridges the gap between Inside Out and Inside Out 2, focusing on the dream studios that produce Riley's Dreams. So we don't really have all that much information. We have a title graphic that harkens back to the Hollywood Golden Age, and there were a few stills, although I don't have them on hand. So I think it's going to be some sort of Golden Age film set spoof filled with divas and other such classic characters who all have to scramble to produce dreams for Riley's mind. I expect there's going to be a lot of parody dreams flying about that reference classic cinema, and really the whole show is probably just going to be a bit of a laugh. Probably similar to the Zootopia shorts we got a couple of years ago that were a lot of fun. And this is apparently coming next year with work already finished on the series. Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. But like I said, Pixar had a ton of news. Next up, we got to talk about Elio, and that's coming in 2025. And in some pretty massive news, they've switched up directors. The original director was the co-director of Coco, and the new director is the lead director of Turning Red. And for me, this bodes ill, because they must have been pretty far through their production cycle, right? You'd think he would want to stick around to finish off what was going to be his lead director debut, but nope. Instead, he leaves to pursue a new project. But he's left enough of his work for him to retain a co-director credit, which also makes me a bit worried about the movie getting muddled with conflicting creative visions. I'm happy to be wrong, but it does bode ill. And it also kind of suggests that there was some sort of issue or drama behind the scenes, right? I really like the look of the initial trailers, so I will remain cautiously optimistic, but I'm a bit nervous. And then we come to Hoppers, which is an original film that will be released towards the beginning of 2026, and will follow a character called Mabel as she hops her mind into a robotic beaver and navigates a world of animals. And along the way, she's going to befriend another beaver named George, and they'll unite the animals to fight back against real estate developers seeking to destroy their home. And yeah, I'll be real, I have little interest or care about this one, I really don't. I'm sure there's a good chance it'll be good, but I personally am hyped up for literally any other single announcement by Pixar. Then we had some live action news. We know that Percy Jackson Season 2 is now in production, and my god, they need to amp up the production for Season 3. These long gaps are going to leave this kid looking old by the end of the show's run. The dude's 15 now for Season 2, and already from the one shot we got, he looks so much older than what he appeared to be in Season 1. Yeesh! So now he's like 15 and his character's meant to be about 13 or something, and if the gap keeps on going with 2 years, then the age gap of the actor to character, it's going to be insane. But yeah, I did really enjoy Season 1, so this has me pumped. I'm excited for Season 2. We also had our first look at Lilo and Stitch's live action, and by first look I mean they showed off Stitch, and that was about it. I think he looked okay from the stuff I've seen. Like, I'm not 100% sold that he's going to translate very well into a live action context, but that being said, I think this one's actually hitting cinemas rather than just going on Disney Plus, which is what it had been announced for. So part of me suspects that there's a big belief from the studio that people are going to buy tickets for this, which, considering The Little Mermaid did well at the box office, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at that. Whether it does actually end up being any good though, that's another question entirely. And this brings us to Walt Disney Animation. We have Frozen 3, which promises to continue on from the questions raised in Frozen 2. And I'll be real, I'm kind of dumb and I have no idea what questions these are, but sure, go off. And the story is apparently so big that they had no choice at all, but to make it 2 films. Sure. And the potential of 2 back-to-back billion-dollar grosses had nothing to do with it, of course. But I'll be honest, I'm hyped for this. Disney has been on a downturn of quality and success of late, but this is just what they need. Frozen 2, I think the story was a bit weaker than Frozen 1, but the characterization and especially the songs, they were still top tier. And as long as they manage to achieve that, it's going to do very well. Although, it could still be the worst thing ever made, and it would still be massive because it's Frozen. I think that franchise is probably too big to fail at this point. It is a bit of a bummer to see it delayed to 2027, but it is what it is, I guess. Better than putting out a shit film. And then we get Zootopia 2, which, man, this has been a long time coming for me. I love Zootopia, it is so good, and it made the studio a heap of money as well. Impressive for the first film in a franchise to cross $1 billion, so I understand why it's back, that's for sure. But yeah, we saw a clip of the 2 heroes, Nick and Judy, heading into some marsh town area, complete with what I assume are the Zootopia equivalent of swamp folk. And according to some statements about the movie, they're on the trail of a snake. And reptiles in particular have a less than stellar reputation in Zootopia. Now the first film, that was clearly about addressing bias and prejudice, so I expect we're going to see a similar thing happen here, and have the reptiles be a bit misunderstood. We may even have a twist villain, although, is it still a twist villain if you expect the twist? I don't know. Either way, not much is known about the movie, but I am probably the most hyped about this more than anything else. I can't wait. I love Zootopia. Hell yeah. Thank God it's back. And so, yeah, not really much else to say beyond that. So I would just like to remind you these have been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of all these announcements? Which is your favorite? Are any of them having you feeling less than hyped? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.